I'm Thomas Witherspoon of Asheville, North Carolina, and you're tuned to the International Radio Report, 30 minutes of news about radio on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal.
Welcome, everyone, to the International Radio Report for Sunday, February the 1st, 2026. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Sheldon. I am here with Gilles, and we have all the latest news from the world of radio, be it locally, nationally, and internationally for you. We'll get started today with an announcement. Get your calendars out and mark down the dates of May the 1st and the 2nd. It is the 2026 SWL Festival. We thank Richard Cuff, one of the organizers in Allentown, Pennsylvania, for updating the information on this year's event. As I said, the dates for the 2026 SWL Festival will be May the 1st and 2nd. That's a Friday and Saturday, at the Holiday Inn Express and Guest Suites in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, and via Zoom. The NASWA SWL Festival is a conference of radio hobbyists of all stripes, from DC to daylight. Historically, every year, scores of hobbyists have descended on the Philadelphia suburbs for a weekend of camaraderie. The fest is sponsored by the North American Shortwave Association, but it covers much more than just shortwave. Medium wave, AM, scanning, satellite, TV, and pirate broadcasting are among the other topics covered. Whether you've been to all 38 fests or this year's will be your first, you're sure to find a welcome from your fellow hobbyists, even if it's a virtual welcome. So the 39th NASWA SWL Festival will have 2 days of sessions where you can learn about the latest developments in the radio listening hobbies. In addition, there will be the Hospitality Suite, which our club CIDX will be hosting again this year, where attendees partake of tuning oil and other treats and engage in spirited conversations. And of course, the infamous Midnight Ride of Pancho Villa, that traditionally closes things out every year, is likely to make a return appearance. The 2026 Fest will be the third in-person event since 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic, and will also again be limited to 65 in-person participants due to meeting space considerations. However, we also offer the option of participating via Zoom, as we have the past 4 years. Watch our webpage for details on how to register for either the in-person or the Zoom event. We look forward to seeing everyone in one place or the other. So check it out at swlfest.com. And if you are planning on going, there, as I said, that 65 limit of in-person participants, if you want to be one of them, you should probably get your registration in as early as possible. For the rest on Zoom, doesn't really matter. You can take your time and get registered there. If you have any questions, you can contact the organizers at swlfest@naswa, NASWA.net. So that's swlfest@naswa.net. And as we have in the last number of years, we'll be running the Zoom aspect of the event. People have participated every year and really seem to enjoy it. People who don't have the finances to be able to go to Pennsylvania or are unable to travel due to work or just what have you, for whatever reasons, maybe health or reasons, it gives everybody everywhere an opportunity to participate using the Zoom registration. So we do hope to see you there. Check out the website to see, as they get information organized, there'll be a list of the different forums that will be taking place and all of the other activities on the website. So swlfest.com is the place to keep an eye out and to get your registration in.
And I hope to see you there. If you've never been, it's a lot of fun. So we have the FCC updates Congress on pirate enforcement. This is via Radio World. The FCC imposed 6 financial penalties against alleged radio pirate operators last year. It also issued 10 notices of apparent liability that may turn into fines, and it entered into 3 consent decree agreements with pirate operators, each with 20-year compliance plans. The Commission sent to Congress its required annual report on its activity under the Pirate Act of 2020. The biggest penalty was a fine issued last June against Fabrice Polinis for approximately $2.4 million for pirate radio broadcasting in North Miami, Florida. Confirming an earlier notice of proposed liability, the Commission called him one of the most egregious offenders and said he operated Radio Touche Douce since at least 2012. Polinis, also known as DJ Paz, had asked the Commission to reduce his penalty, saying he couldn't afford to pay. Also on the list is a fine against Masner Beauplan for $920,000 issued in September for activity in the New York City area. Other fines or settlements range from $6,000 to $325,000. The Commission has not said that these are other pirates' fines have actually been collected, other than in cases of consent decree. The current maximum fines are about $120,000 per day and $2.5 million total. The Enforcement Bureau can also issue notices to property owners and property managers of apparent pirate radio broadcasts from their property. In 2025, it issued 28 such letters, including 17 related to the required pirate sweeps it conducts in cities where illegal broadcasting is most prevalent. Because pirate radio stations often cease operating for a period of time but then return, the Bureau will continue to monitor the properties for which notices were provided and will initiate enforcement action where appropriate. The Commission has hired 6 full-time employees under the Pirate Act, but did not hire any in the past year. It also maintains a public database of its activities and pirate enforcement that has been updated. It lists 185 individual actions since 2020, ranging from non-monetary notice letters to large financial penalties. The majority of its enforcement activity has been in New York, Massachusetts, and Florida. So once again, they're issuing their report saying we're doing things, but that report doesn't say if anybody paid any fines. We don't know where that happened. Actually, we had that same question last week from one of our listeners. Anybody paid the fines? Well, we don't know.
I'm just really surprised that it takes them as long as it does to A, track them down, and B, give them their warnings, C, issue a fine, what have you, and to follow up on them. I don't know. It just seems like a very long process. We've been at this a very long time. We go back to years where FCC guys walked in on some pirate operator, shut him down on the spot, took the equipment, confiscated it, and off they went, and that was the end of his operation. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. They seem to take a long time before they finally give them the warning or give them the fine, and then we really don't know how much follow-up there is afterwards.
Yep.
So they have done a lot of work at least, but the end result, we don't really know at this point in time. I have a feeling that some of these stations are probably still on the air.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They'll just think, well, it took them this long to find me. Maybe it'll take them even longer to come chase me down again. So anyways, kind of surprising. But anyways, we reported on a lot of these stories you probably remember throughout the year. But nice to see a summary of them all here. Well, for any football fans, the biggest day of the year for the NFL is coming up next weekend, next Sunday, and it is Super Bowl Sunday, the 60th Super Bowl game. Believe it or not, I have seen every single one. I remember all the way back to the very first Super Bowl game. Makes me really feel old. But anyways, number 60 is coming up. I've got a special attention to this one because my favorite team, the Seahawks, is playing. But we do have the radio information relating to the game. The headline is Super Bowl 60, Fox Sports Radio and SiriusXM takes on San Francisco, where the game is going to be played. This comes from Radio Inc. As Super Bowl 60 week begins in San Francisco, Fox Sports Radio and SiriusXM are rolling out wall-to-wall coverage, combining live on-location programming with expanded distribution across broadcast, satellite, and digital platforms ahead of the big game. For Fox Sports Radio, the guest roster includes current players, former stars, and media personalities such as Steve Young, Bo Jackson, Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, Brian Urlacher, and Emmett Smith. The Dan Patrick Show will originate from China Basin Park, February 2nd to the 6th, while a brand new Stuttgart's and Company Live will broadcast from the Moscone Center, February 2nd through 5th. Two Pros and a Cup of Joe with LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and Jonas Knox will air live February 4th through 6th. Additional on-site broadcasts include Covino and Rich and The Odd Couple with Rod Parker and Kelvin Washington, both airing from the Moscone Center, February 2nd to 6th. Other national shows include The Herd with Colin Cowherd, The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon, and The Ben Mahler Show. They will broadcast live from Los Angeles throughout the week. Meanwhile, SiriusXM subscribers will have access to multiple game broadcasts, live shows from the Super Bowl 60 Media Center, and a dedicated pop-up channel. SiriusXM's NFL Radio will broadcast live all week from the Media Center, covering opening night, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Class of 2026 announcement, and the NFL Honors. Additional live programming will come from Mad Dog Sports Radio, The Stephen A. Smith Show, and other specials. On Super Bowl Sunday, February the 8th, SiriusXM will carry multiple live broadcasts from Levi Stadium, including official team feeds for the New England Patriots and Seattle Seahawks, the National Westwood One broadcast, and a Spanish-language call. Bad Bunny's halftime show will air live on both the Super Bowl 60 radio station and Caliente channels. The Super Bowl 60 radio pop-up channel launches February 2nd on Channel 79, offering game previews, event coverage, and Bay Area logistics throughout the week, with programming also available via the SiriusXM app and NFL One Pass in San Francisco. So that's the national coverage, and locally, if you're not around a TV set and you're out somewhere and you want to follow it on the radio, the Fox Sports Network channels will be covering it, as well as Westwood One, which will be picked up by a lot of the sports channels on radio. So you'll have many opportunities to follow the game, whether you're watching at home or out somewhere and listening to it via the different radio sources.
All you need to do is get your snacks ready.
Oh yeah, we're holding our usual Super Bowl party here, and it'll get pretty noisy this year with my team playing in the game, and I think they're going to win. I shouldn't say that because I'm probably going to jinx them, but anyways, if anybody that follows me on Facebook knows that I'm a big Seahawks fan and have been all the way back to 1976 when they first came into the league. So this will be the fourth time they've made it to a Super Bowl. They've won one and lost two. So I'm hoping they even it up this year.
So we have the 2026 Radio Hall of Fame nomination search begins. This is via Inside Radio. The Museum of Broadcast Communications is now accepting public and industry suggestions for the 2026 Radio Hall of Fame, opening the annual nomination window for broadcasters whose careers have made a lasting impact on the industry. Suggestions for potential nominees will be accepted beginning Sunday, February the 1st through Tuesday, March 31st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time via submissions at radiohalloffame.com. The process will lead to the selection of the 2026 Radio Hall of Fame induction class, which will be formally honored during a induction ceremony Thursday, October the 8th at the Fairmont Chicago Hotel. A total of 24 nominees will be selected by the Radio Hall of Fame nomination committee and placed on the final ballot, which will be voted on later this year by industry professionals. We look forward to receiving suggestions from around the country of worthy broadcasters deserving to be nominated for Radio Hall of Fame induction, says Dennis Green, co-chairman of the Radio Hall of Fame. There are so many deserving candidates worthy of earning the radio industry's highest honor as we begin the process of inducting this year's Hall of Fame class in October. Co-chairman Craig T. Kitchen emphasized the importance of broad participation in the nomination process, noting that listener and industry input plays a key role in shaping the final ballot. We rely on industry and listener input and suggestions in this process, Kitchen said. Our 24-person nominating committee gains valuable additional insight and knowledge as a result of these suggestions coming from thousands of individuals each year. Founded by the Emerson Radio Corporation in 1988, the Radio Hall of Fame has been operated by the Museum of Broadcast Communications since 1991. The annual induction ceremony recognizes broadcasters whose careers have significantly influenced the evolution and impact of radio in the United States. So this is going to be interesting to see who will get to that list this year.
I don't like the last line of the article because we can't be nominated.
Nah.
I think we deserve it.
Yeah.
We've been around since 1987 doing this show, but it says impact of radio in the United States. So why not send in our names anyways? Just flood them with it, and maybe they'll make an exception. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, we'll do a petition. Let's try to change things. So what's happening with our sun? Well, our sun this week was more like quiet compared to the previous week with giant auroras everywhere. But still, we had some solar wind that created some minor geomagnetic storming at times. But for the most part, it was a rather quiet week. There aren't any sunspots right now that are very complex, so things are probably going to quiet down in the days ahead. So the week ahead is probably going to be an interesting one and rather quiet in general. No really big coronal holes or anything for the solar wind to create disturbances. So this might be a pretty good week, actually. So the sunspot number, 117. The radio solar flux is 133. And hopefully conditions are going to be good. We're starting to get a lot of interesting signals. We do see a shift in propagation as we're moving now towards February. So tune the bands. It's very, very interesting. But there's only one thing that you need for that. You need a radio, and you need to turn it on.
I'm Richard Cuff of Allentown, Pennsylvania. You're tuned to the International Radio Report. 30 minutes of news about radio on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal.
We have some good news coming in an update from a story that we talked about on the show of the possible return of Malaysia to shortwave broadcasting. The headline, Sudden Shortwave Transmissions from RTM Malaysia. This comes from Zach Liang via Glenn Hauser's World of Radio IO Group on Thursday, January the 29th. A report of RTM Malaysia on the frequency of 15295 kilohertz with a trial broadcast. The signal and modulation was fair on the 29th at 0900 UTC, and that was received in East Java, so probably in the target area in particular. Steve Luce in Houston adds, a few days ago, Glenn Hauser had passed along a message from Jeff White at the HFCC conference in Malaysia that a Continental Electronics engineer was going to do some work at a dormant shortwave transmitter facility in the country. Perhaps that engineer got one of the transmitters working again, and this was that test. So we don't know that for sure, but we do know that people heard them, it was monitored, and that marks at least a first sign of a return to shortwave from the country of Malaysia. That would be really great if that happened.
Yeah, that would be really, really nice. We did talk about it last week, and I did hear on Glenn Hauser's World of Radio where there was, of course, some work being done there. Also, we have Radio Free Asia broadcast in Korean via Taiwan. This is from Joe Hanlon in New Jersey via Glenn Hauser's World of Radio I.O. group. That was from January the 29th. Monitoring checks from the U20 SDR in the Netherlands, along with the SDRs in Montana and in Australia, showed good signal from Radio Free Asia's new Korean broadcast on 9900 via Taiwan, January 29th at 1330 UTC sign-on with Radio Free Asia ID in English, followed by talk by mail announcer and news. This broadcast is for now scheduled on Tuesday and Thursday only at 1330 UTC to 1345 UTC. Short Voice of America or Radio Free Asia reactivations here and there. There will surely be more of those as time goes by. It seems that we just have to be patient, and new services seem to pop up here and there all the time. So we'll hope for the best. Maybe there will be more coming out of places like Kuwait.
Yeah, thankfully there's a lot of listeners tuning around right now looking for new transmissions, and any of you listening, if you come across anything, and you're not sure what it might be, especially if it's in a foreign language that you don't understand, there's lots of places on Facebook and other listener groups where you can post up messages, and you'll immediately have people going to try to hear the same transmissions, trying to help you with IDs or what language services, what stations, etc. So nice to see that people are keeping their ears open, and I think we'll be finding more of these transmissions, reactivating transmitters that we know are out there. They were shut down, and people were wondering, are they dismantling? Well, there doesn't seem like they've been dismantling, some of them at least, and it doesn't take all that long to get them up and running again.
Talking of monitoring the bands, it's always interesting to see what you can hear that just pops up out of the blue. This week I had a great example of Mixed Radio International Pirate that was broadcasting. Somebody noted that the frequencies chosen this week were all 5 kilohertz from WWCR frequencies. WWCR has been off the air this week. They had a huge power outage and apparently some damage from an ice storm that they had in Tennessee. So most of the frequencies of WWCR were off, and Mixed Radio maybe kind of took decided to choose those frequencies, saying, hey, maybe some people want to tune WWCR and hear us instead. It's very interesting because Mixed Radio International is extremely wideband. It's an upper sideband signal, but it's very wide. So they actually claim in their announcements that they're the only pirate that actually sounds like high-quality FM. So I actually listened to it with the widest filter I could find on one of my SDRs. It does sound very amazing for a single sideband signal. And if you have an SDR, a software-defined receiver, or if you use one online, it's kind of cute because they have all of these little patterns and IDs that actually slide down the waterfall. So you never know to tune around. This week I heard them on 9975 and 12155. I believe Thursday they also used 12155. Again, I saw reports on the Glenn Hauser's World of Radio group. So it's fun to tune around. You never know what's going to pop up and what you're going to hear on different frequencies. And, like we were talking, most of these Radio Free Asia and VOA broadcasts just pop out of the blue also and get reported. So you might also get on some new frequency of a new transmission. So we have amateur radio, de-expeditions, and special events.
I have a couple interesting updates on some ham radio de-expeditions that'll be coming up. 3 Yankee Zero Kilo Bouvet Island de-expedition update. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the 3 Yankee Zero Kilo de-expedition to Bouvet Island will be delayed by approximately 2 weeks. Their vessel requires additional maintenance to ensure that it is fully prepared for the demanding journey to one of the most remote and challenging locations on the planet. While this delay is disappointing, the safety of the team remains their top priority. The adjustment does not alter the overall strategy of the de-expedition, which has been carefully planned over the past 3 years. So this is a major undertaking, and if you think you've heard pile-ups on the air, if these guys make it to Bouvet Island and activate the island, it's going to be crazy on the ham bands.
Yeah, the last time I think that was the biggest comments of everybody was this is where it shows the bad operations of a lot of hams.
Yeah, it's gonna require some policing if possible on the ham bands because so many people are going to want to contact this station once it gets up and running. They got close before. Got close to the island and had to bail and turn back because of it was impossible for them to land because of weather and what have you. These trips to places like that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. So people will be watching this one very, very closely.
And we have TL8BNW, Central African Republic, update by Joao CR7BNW. I would like to inform readers that this weekend, if there are no logistical delays, I will be receiving some equipment to upgrade my band capabilities. I will be trying 160 meter both in digital modes and SSB. To make this possible, I'll need to make some adjustments to my dipole, which will remain configured exclusively for 160 meters from February 4th to the 14th. After that period, I will reconfigure the dipole back to 40, 20, 15, and 10 meters. So the call sign to look for, Tango Lima 8 Bravo Nancy Whiskey. And that is also going to be very interesting to check out.
All right, so a couple really interesting spots on the planet that are going to attract a lot of attention once they get up and running. I don't know what the date is, the planned date for Bouvet Island yet, but again, they have to really depend on accessibility.
Yeah.
Central African Republic, at least they're already there,
Yeah.
and they're getting things set up, so it shouldn't be too long.
And we were talking also about the problems that the Seychelles Island is having. They've been off the air. They've had a lot of severe weather. And since it's a remote operation and they don't have access to the equipment easily, they had a lot of problems. So they did post about it, saying, we're sorry about what's happening, but we're trying our best. So we are out of time.
We thank you for tuning in today. We will give you our contact information as usual. Our email address for any comments or questions you may have, radioreport@yahoo.com. We're live streaming and archived at ckut.ca. Our Facebook group got a bit of a peek this week. We would like to welcome Andrew White, Ajaz, who is in Jammu and Kashmir. Thanks for checking in with us. Ernie Tech and Jonathan Kuddish, bringing us to ever closer to that 1,000 Facebook members mark. We're at 995. If you haven't joined yet and you listen to us regularly and you do Facebook, go over and join the group. Look for us, International Radio Report, on Facebook. And finally, lots of people checking out our YouTube channel last week, listening to our show at their convenience. You can find all of our shows at youtube.com/@IRR and subscribe to the channel if you wish. Thanks for tuning in. We'll do it all again next week with the next batch of information of what's happening in the world of radio on the International Radio Report here on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. Bye-bye for now, and go Seahawks.
Bye-bye.
Attention, attention. This is the first broadcast of Radio Arctica. Our shortwave transmitter is located